in 5 people has a family member that was killed by gun violence. 1 in 5. Today, as Angela mentioned, gun violence is the #1 cause of death of the children of America.
In the past 3 years alone, the Michigan and Greater Detroit community has experienced 2 massive school shootings: Oxford High School in 2021 and Michigan State University in 2023. The root of the issue lies in gun legislation and regulation, especially in relation to minors and mental health. If gun legislation in Michigan could be more regularly monitored when issuing guns to those with minors and those with mental health issues, mass shootings such as these could be more thoroughly prevented.
The Michigan State University shooting occurred on February 13, 2023, when a gunman opened fire on campus, killing 3 students and injuring 5 others.
When the shooting happened at MSU, I was a freshman, and I remember us hiding in the basement of one of the residence halls. And there was just so much uncertainty around what was going on and a lot of fear because we didn't know what was going on. And I remember hearing gunshots near my residence hall. And after the shooting, there was just a certain fear, and it was almost a ghost town, and just a lot of fear lingering in the air. And that really impacted our community.
The perpetrator in the MSU shooting was Anthony Dwayne McCrae. Years before the tragedy, he was charged with carrying a concealed weapon, a felony count that would have prevented him from being able to buy a gun if he were convicted. But he wasn't convicted, and then he became a mass shooter. Police also said about McCrae that the investigation revealed that he had a history of mental health issues. So how then was a former felon with a history of mental instability able to legally get his hands on a gun? How does this show that Michigan has adequate regulation and background checks in gun purchases? There are clearly holes in our legislation that need to be addressed, or else we're going to keep on hearing the exact same story.
In this tragic event of the Oxford High School shooting, a 15-year-old student, Ethan Crumbly, used a firearm purchased by his parents to kill 4 students and injure 7 others. In the Oxford case, the shooter had easy access to a firearm that was purchased legally but improperly secured. If stricter laws had required mandatory safe storage of firearms, the shooter might not have been able to access the weapon.
How did you first hear about what happened, and what was your initial reaction?
I first heard about what happened was in my family group chat. My sister had texted that there are gunshots. And I was in my math class at that time, and I read it, and my face just turned white, and I showed the people around me, and then a couple minutes later, the announcement came on, said that we're going into lockdown because of something at the high school.
Yeah, okay. And then what emotions did you or your friends and family experience in the days and weeks following?
I feel like everyone was just shocked, and we all obviously were devastated about all the losses and injuries that were there. And yeah, I don't know. It was definitely just a hard time.
What ways did you think the event changed the community long term?
I feel like a lot of it is people are still on edge of, for certain things, because as students at the school, we have to wear clear backpacks. There's a lot of security guards and metal detectors. So that was an adjustment. But I feel we aren't trying to focus on really I feel it's not an everyday remembrance as much.
Michigan's secure storage law should go beyond households with minors and universally require safe storage in all homes. The law must spell out the clear consequences and mechanisms for enforcement, especially in homes with firearms that could easily be accessed by individuals with mental health challenges or other risk factors.
In less than 5 minutes, the small town of Oxford, Michigan was changed forever when a gunman opened fire on his fellow high school students.
During the vice presidential debate with Tim Walz, this is what Trump's incoming Vice President J.D. Vance had to say about the topic of security in schools.
I personally think that we have to increase security in our schools. We have to make the doors lock better. We have to make the doors stronger. We've got to make the windows stronger. And of course, we've got to increase school resource officers.
But from the perspective of the Michigan community, the recent shootings have shaped us to understand that what Vice President Vance is saying is not nearly enough to stop the grand problem as a whole. Those who want to get their hands on a gun will get their hands on a gun, if the state of the regulation remains how it is now. The fact that a man with a mentally unstable minor was able to get a firearm easily handed over to him, or that a previous felon with a mental health record was legally able to obtain a gun that killed 3 students, we know that what needs to change is not school security, but firearm possession regulation. The question is, when will it happen?